There is a thought most of us keep very quietly in the back of our minds. We do not speak it aloud. We do not let ourselves sit with it for long. But it is always there, patient, waiting for a moment of stillness to surface. You are going to die, not someday in the abstract, theoretical sense, but actually, specifically, personally. The life you are living right now will end, and the honest question beneath all of that is this: are you living as if you know that? Most of us are pretending, not out of weakness or stupidity, but because the mind is extraordinarily skilled at creating distance from anything that feels too big, too final, too real to hold all at once. We push it forward, into the future, into someday. Someday I will slow down. Someday I will call them more. Someday I will do the thing I have always wanted to do. Someday sits in our minds like a promise we fully intend to keep, but someday is not a day on the calendar. Think about your morning. The alarm, the scroll, the coffee, the same familiar sequence of small motions. Each one carried out with the quiet assumption that tomorrow will arrive exactly as scheduled, just like today. We live in the future without ever admitting it. The ancient Stoics had a practice. They called it memento mori, remember that you will die, not as a morbid exercise in fear, but as a clarifying act of honesty. Because when you truly feel your own finitude, something inside you rearranges itself. Imagine for a moment that you knew, not with dread but with clarity, that this week was your last. What would suddenly stop mattering? What argument would you let go of? What would you finally say to someone who has been waiting to hear it from you? The things we delay are rarely tasks. They are people. They are feelings we have kept pressed down for years. They are versions of ourselves we never gave permission to exist. We do not run out of time. We run out of willingness to begin. There is a grief that does not get much attention. It is the grief of the unlived life. The path not taken. Not because of tragedy or bad luck, but simply because we kept waiting for a better time that never came on its own. Your body already knows what your mind refuses to accept. It ages quietly while you are looking away. The small aches in the morning. The way certain names now require an extra moment to recall. The body is keeping honest count, even when the mind will not. We fill our days with urgency to avoid this one specific feeling. The busyness is not accidental. The endless scrolling, the constant noise, the overscheduled weeks, these are not just habits. They are a very elaborate, very effective strategy for not sitting still with yourself. Researchers who study end-of-life experiences consistently find the same pattern. People do not regret the risks they took. They regret the ones they did not the failed attempts. The attempts never made, the words left unsaid while someone was still there to hear them. Consider an ordinary Tuesday, not a milestone, not a birthday, just a regular, unremarkable day in your life. The coffee was warm. Someone laughed nearby. The light came through the window at an angle you had never quite noticed before. These moments are what a life is made of. Take one breath right now, slowly. Feel the air move into your chest and then back out again. That breath was real. It was yours. It happened in actual time, not in memory, not in anticipation. This moment, exactly this one, is the only one you are guaranteed to have. The philosopher Seneca wrote to his friend, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And perhaps the same is true of death itself. The fear of the ending is often heavier than the ending could ever be. What we dread is the not knowing, the loss of control. But here is the quiet truth that changes everything. You do not need to make peace with death in order to start living differently. You only need to be honest about the fact that time is not infinite. That is enough. That single honest admission shifts everything. When you stop pretending you have unlimited time, something surprising happens. The small irritations lose their power. The things that once felt urgent reveal themselves as trivial, and the things you kept pushing aside, the real things, quietly move to the front of the room. You do not have to do anything dramatic. You do not need a trip to another country or a grand gesture. You simply need to give yourself permission. Permission to care about what you actually care about. Permission to stop performing a version of your life for an audience that never asked for the show. Think of someone you love. Picture them clearly. Now ask yourself, when did you last tell them without any reason or occasion, simply and plainly, what they mean to you? Not because they were leaving, not because something had happened, just because it was true and you wanted them to know. This is where the video begins to turn, not into a lesson or a list, but into an invitation to look at your life the way you might look at something precious and rare, because that is exactly what it is: rare, unrepeatable, astonishing in its very existence, and it is yours. We have a word for what we do. We call it planning. But much of the time, what we are really doing is deferring, pushing the real thing forward to a safer, less demanding version of ourselves that we imagine will exist someday. That safer self never arrives. The version of you who has more energy, fewer obligations, a cleaner slate, that person is a fiction you keep revising, and the life you meant to live waits patiently inside the one you are already living. What if you had said something different? What if you had chosen another path? The mind replays old moments, searching for the perfect version of the past that never existed. But the past is sealed. No amount of thinking will reopen it. Your body understands urgency better than your mind does. It has been counting since the beginning. Every gray hair, every ache that wasn't there before, these are not failures. They are the body's honest way of telling you that time is not standing still for you. There are things you have not said to the people you love. Not because the words don't exist, but because you keep assuming there will be a better moment, a quieter evening, a longer conversation, someday when it doesn't feel so exposed to say them out loud. There is someone you have been meaning to call. Not for any particular reason, just to hear their voice, to say that you think about them. That impulse is not small. It is one of the most human things you carry. Don't let it become a regret you explain at a funeral. And there is the work you have not started. The thing that lives in the back of your mind, persistent and patient. You dismiss it as a dream, but it visits you too often to be nothing. Something in you knows the difference between a distraction and a direction. Time moves like a river, not a lake. You cannot store it. You cannot return upstream to collect what you left behind. Each moment passes into the current whether you were present for it or not. The question is never whether time is moving. It always is. There was a moment, perhaps you remember it, when you realized that someone close to you was older than you expected, or that you yourself had crossed some invisible line without noticing. Time announced itself quietly, and something inside you shifted without quite naming why. Grief is one of the most honest teachers available to us. When we lose someone, the pretense falls away. Suddenly, the things we were distracted by reveal their actual weight, which is very little, and the things we neglected reveal their actual weight, which is enormous. Death clarifies desire. In the presence of loss, we stop wanting more of everything and start wanting more of what is specific. That laugh, that conversation, that ordinary Tuesday that we did not know was the last one. Specificity is where love actually lives. There is a lightness that comes when you stop performing certainty. When you admit to yourself and maybe to one other person that you don't have it figured out, that you are still becoming, that the question is still open, something in your chest loosens its grip. Presence is not the absence of thought. It is the choice to let this moment matter more than the next one. To give your attention to what is in front of you so fully that productivity loses its case for why you should be somewhere else doing something more efficient. When you imagine your life from a great distance, looking back, with all the noise removed, what faces appear, which voices matter? The people who remain are not always the most impressive ones. They are the ones with whom something true was shared without pretense. A single afternoon spent fully present can hold more life than a year of distracted weeks, not because of what happened, but because of how completely you showed up for it. The richness of a moment is not in its size. It is in the quality of your attention. There is discomfort in sitting with the truth of your own mortality. Most of us flinch from it. We change the subject, fill the silence, keep moving. But the discomfort itself is information. It points toward what you have not yet fully accepted or fully chosen to love. Beginning is its own kind of courage. Not because the outcome is certain, It never is, but because beginning means admitting that you want something, that it matters, that you are willing to be the person who tries and perhaps fails rather than the person who never had to find out. What would a fully lived day actually look like? Not a perfect day, not an extraordinary one. A day in which you were honest with someone, did work that carried meaning, paused long enough to notice something beautiful, and ended without the feeling that you had been absent from your own life. Endings give beginnings their meaning. The limit is not the enemy of the experience, it is what makes the experience real. A story that never ends is not epic, it is shapeless. The frame of a finite life is what allows you to choose what to put inside it. There is a question you have been avoiding, not because you don't know it, but because answering it honestly would require something from you. It would require a change, a commitment, a letting go of the comfortable story that still has more time written in its margins. Here is what the fear of death is really trying to tell you. It is not trying to paralyze you. It is trying to wake you up, to show you what you have been too distracted, too busy, too afraid to see clearly until now. Think of the faces that come to mind when you imagine your last day. They are not the faces of colleagues or acquaintances. They are the people you love, the ones you take for granted, the ones you forget to call, the ones who need more of you than you give. When did you last sit with someone you love and give them your full, undivided attention, not half your mind scrolling, not one eye on the clock, but truly present? That kind of presence is a gift, and it costs nothing except the willingness to be here. You have a list, you know you do, the things you have been meaning to start, the places you have been meaning to go, the words you have been meaning to say. That list is not waiting for the right moment. It is waiting for you to decide the moment is now. There is a quality of aliveness that comes when you stop rushing through your own life, when you walk slowly, when you notice the way light falls through leaves, when you feel the ground beneath your feet and remember that you are here, truly, physically, wonderfully here, for a limited time. Think of the letter you never wrote, the apology you swallowed, the gratitude you felt but never spoke aloud. These unfinished sentences live inside us, sometimes for decades. They do not disappear. They only grow heavier with time. Say what needs to be said while there is still time. The ordinary moments are not obstacles between the meaningful ones. They are the meaningful ones, a cup of tea in the morning silence, a child's laughter, the warmth of another person sleeping nearby. These are not small things. These are everything. This is what a life is made of. Every morning is an invitation you did not earn. The sun rises whether or not you are ready, whether or not you are grateful, whether or not you used the previous day well. But today, for the first time, you might greet the morning knowing it is not guaranteed and live accordingly. Resentment is a luxury the dying cannot afford. When people face the end, old grudges dissolve like smoke. The anger that seemed so important reveals itself for what it was: borrowed time spent on the wrong things. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It is for you. Choosing presence is an act of will. It does not happen automatically. Every moment, your mind wants to be elsewhere, in the past, in the future, in the worry, in the plan. To be here, right now, fully, that is the discipline that transforms an ordinary life into a meaningful one. Imagine yourself at the very end of your life, looking back at this exact moment, today, this week, this year. What would that version of you wish you had done differently? What would they beg you to change? That voice is not imaginary. It is wisdom from the future. Listen to it. The hardest step is always the first one, the one taken before you feel ready, before conditions are perfect, before someone gives you permission. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is deciding that what you want to create matters more than the fear of getting it wrong. Beauty does not announce itself. It waits quietly in the spaces between the things you are rushing toward. A stranger's unexpected kindness, the smell of rain on warm pavement, the way music can stop time entirely. If you are moving too fast, you will miss all of it. Slow down. To forgive is to reclaim the hours that resentment has stolen from you. Every moment spent carrying anger toward someone who wronged you is a moment of your one precious life handed over freely to pain. You can take those moments back. The choice is yours. Choose to let go. Living intentionally does not mean living perfectly. It means living on purpose, making choices that align with what you actually value, rather than drifting with the current of habit and distraction. It means asking, each day, is this who I want to be? And then choosing to be that person. Here is a strange gift hidden inside the awareness of death. It makes everything more vivid. The colors are brighter. The silence is richer. Conversations go deeper. You stop tolerating the hollow and start seeking the real. Knowing that time is limited does not diminish life. It illuminates it. A meaningful life is not built in a single dramatic gesture. It is built in the 10,000 small choices you make when no one is watching. The choice to be honest, to be kind, to be present, to begin again after failure. You are building it right now, whether you know it or not. On the last day of your life, you will not wish you had worked more or worried more or spent more hours on things that did not matter. You will want to have loved well, laughed more freely, seen more beauty, and been more fully present in the only life you were given. What you leave behind is not the things you accumulated, it is the quality of love you gave, the way you made people feel seen and heard, the courage you modeled when it was difficult. Moments of genuine connection ripple forward long after you are gone in ways you will never fully know. You do not need a crisis to begin. You do not need more time, a better plan, or a perfect moment. The invitation is here, right now, in the quiet space after these words. Go live, not someday, not when things settle, not when you are ready. Now, begin now.